What up? I'm Angela.
And I'm Hope.
And we are
Aquarian Renaissance. So in this video, we are going to talk to you about a technique that Angela used in order to help when someone is triggered. So take it away.
Triggered as in like my daughter threw a fit the other morning.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah. So her father scared her and she was like, ah! And then she went in her room and she was mad. She was angry. They had to go to school. And we were on a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So Dad left, waiting in the car. Mom walked in. I have experience with this and her for a while. We've been working on like trying to respect each other's boundaries and, you know, just showing up for each other when we're feeling emotions, because we are not our emotions. That's true. Our feeling. And a lot of times we identify with our feelings and say, oh, like I'm such a horrible person, da, 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 all that stuff. I'll spare you all that.
Yeah.
So basically what I did was I went to her door and I knocked on the door and I said, may I come in?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, yes.
Okay.
So she allowed me, and that was the first step. And then I went in, and what I did was a technique called pretty much mirroring, just sitting down with whoever it is who's feeling a certain way. So in her case, it was anger and she was crying at the same time. I don't know what it was, but it was big.
Okay.
It was big. And the way I look at things now and the way I approach it is like, we don't have to fix somebody else's feelings.
So true.
Or, you know, our ego brain wants to do that. I mean, we want to fix things, but really there's nothing to fix.
Yeah.
You know, it's just being there, holding space for her and allowing her to have her feelings, but with the support of me sitting there with her.
Right.
I went in there. At first I was like feeling her feeling, you know, as an empath, and if you have a sensitive kid I mean, you do.
I do. And every time, like, especially in the morning when I'm rushed and he's, you know, not in the best of moods, I feel it. Yes. And I can feel myself starting to get sucked into it unless I stop myself. And so, yeah, so
you're mindful of it.
Exactly. Like, you have to be mindful of it, or
it's like, this is not my emotion.
Right.
Like, I felt what she was feeling.
Yeah.
I took a couple deep breaths, like couple deep breaths, and I went in there in a calm, strong, supportive state.
Right.
Because there's a saying, you can't make a sick man well by getting sick with them.
That's really true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what do you have to offer if you're down where they're at? Like, we don't have to feel sympathetic, or lots of times as parents we feel guilt, like, oh, you know, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I get to them? Why are they throwing fit? Is it my fault? Like, I haven't done enough. I should buy a book. I should do this. I should do that. When really all you got to do is like turn inward and say, like, this isn't my feeling and this is a normal child reaction. And how can I support my child? And it's like going in there and just allowing her or your child to be.
So what does that look like exactly?
So I was, you know, when she let me in the room, I saw where she was sitting on the floor, kicking and screaming. But I didn't go and kicking and screaming.
Right. You don't want to mirror that much.
No, I couldn't mirror. But I felt like with my facial expressions when I sat down, cross-legged, right in front of her. Right?
Yeah.
When I sat down, I just looked at her. Just allowed.
Yeah.
So, I took a deep breath while I was in there.
And what was her reaction to just you, I guess, holding space for her, right?
I mean, at first she was crying, and I just kept like strong, like saying, this is, you know, she's having a fit and she'll be over it. Right? Because you have to believe that. If you do something's wrong, what's wrong? They have anxiety, they gotta go on a pill, it's like this is a big mess. It's not. They're just having a feeling. And they need to be able to allow that feeling to process or flow through them.
I think we forget sometimes that this feeling does not last forever and that it's going to come and it's going to go. Right. And that's important to keep in mind,
It
right?
really is. Yeah. It really is. So I just sat with her. And, you know, as I started to see her, like, stabilize, like, calm down a little bit, I wasn't always looking at her. You know, I was following her lead. Yeah. So if she's sitting there, I kind of heard her. I felt her kind of, like, she stopped for a second and then went back to the crying. And then, you know, I just sat there. And then when she was neutral, like, kind of like better, I would say, better. as in not displaying so much emotion, and it looked like she calmed herself down.
Yeah.
I just saw like a little bead on the floor, and I just flicked it.
Uh-huh.
And then I flicked another one, and then she flicked it back to me.
Oh, so she was starting to follow your behavior.
She was.
Yeah.
And actually, it's really, children learn through play. They act out their feelings through play.
Right.
It's imaginative play, or just play in general, because it takes the burden off of the feeling. It takes the bigness out of the emotion that they're feeling.
Right. And it's in a way that they can relate to. They don't have to talk about their feelings. They can just experience what's going on in that moment.
And then know that, like, oh, it's not such a big deal. Mom is flicking a bead across the room, and we're just doing it. And then we started to laugh.
Yeah.
And then she got up. She's like, okay, Mom, bye.
Wow.
And she just left the room.
And she made it to school on time, I take it.
She was happy.
Yeah, yeah.
She was happy. I was like, this is magic.
All right.
Now, mind you, this isn't something that, like, I just did. It was like, it took time and practice.
Yeah.
Trying to respect her boundaries. And, as parents, what I say is that's what you have to do. You follow my rules. This is what should be.
Yeah.
We think we know best, and we do a lot of the times, but we don't know how they're feeling. Right. We don't know what they're experiencing. We don't know what's going on in their brain, right? But we don't really have to know.
No.
Again, all we have to do is show that we're gonna be there and show up in support of whatever it is that they're feeling.
And I think they're feeling that mom is kind of like a rock. Like, I don't have to worry. Mom's going to be there and support me, and it doesn't matter what kind of emotions that I go through. She's going to be unconditionally there to support me.
Yes, it's okay.
Or dad, or whoever the parent is.
It's like, the message that sends when you sit there and you don't tell them what to do or how to get better.
Yeah.
This is what I did. Like, trust me, I've done it all. Like, you should do this. You should do this. Stop crying. I've been through it all. But in learning my own ways to self-regulate, like the strategies that I had to learn on my own, what worked for me, may not work for everybody else, right? So knowing who I was and how I handle my emotions, it's like you lead the way. It's not by what you say, it's how you handle your own stress, your own anxiety. There's a time a year ago where I was reacting right towards her, and I had no patience, and I was yelling right back. Like, what are you even crying for, right? Like, you almost get angry back. But that was part of me. That was my own projection. That was my own anger inside that was being reflected back to me through her.
Right.
That's why I felt it so deep.
And I could see that if you continue to practice this over and over again and do that consistently with your children, then they're going to come to trust that and even begin to do that themselves for other people.
It was a magical moment.
Yeah.
It was like the culmination of, a year or whatever amount of time, really working on just letting our children know, or relationships, anybody in your life who's going through a painful time, that it's okay to express emotion. It's okay to be vulnerable. Like, it's not a big deal. It's the storms are going to come. How you weather those storms, how you show up, what you do. It's not the end of the world. Everything's not the end of the world. Yeah.
And nothing is permanent.
No.
Nothing is permanent. Change
is the one thing that you can always count on.
Yes. So we need to be...
Our bodies inside, they're changing every moment. Yes.
Yeah, we need to be the calm in the storm.
Yes.
That's it.
I love that.
Yeah. So I have a tool that I put together as well that we're going to share with you in another video. And it's how you can get into that mode of kind of being the calm in the storm by doing what we're going to call a mirror exercise. It's a mirror guided meditation. So check out that tool, because I think that will be helpful to get you into that mode, to be able to use the tool that Angela did with her daughter. We just have to get in that state in order to make that happen.
Yeah, like, to sum it up, first thing, you just got to be like, that's not my feeling. I'm feeling my child's feeling. So just identifying that, like, am I reacting? Am I being reactive, or do I just step back? I'm mindful of what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Just get yourself ready to love anyway, to be there for your kids for support, because you just sitting there, you just showing up and not telling them what to do or not knowing, because they feel powerless over their emotions. And when you don't tell them what to do, they feel empowered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I got this. I can work this out on my own, but my mom's going to be there while I do it.
Awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It was magical.
Yeah. I love it.
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks for tuning in, and check you out later.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.